Okay, it is 6 o'clock, a few minutes afterwards, and I will call February 20, 2018 meeting of the Andalusia City Council to order. And ask you to stand and join us as Councilman Powell leads us in the prayer and pledge of allegiance.
Join me as we pray. Almighty God, we come before you today. We just pray that you would give each of us wisdom, that your Spirit would surround us as we make decisions, and that we would hear you, that we would bring a togetherness to this community, to this place that we call home. Help us to make good decisions. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everyone to our second meeting in February. I remind everyone that the City Council meets on the first and third Tuesdays of each month, with the workshop starting at 5 o'clock up in the conference room on the third floor, and the regular session starting here in the council chambers at 6 o'clock, unless otherwise notified. And we welcome our guests with us tonight. We do have guests. We're always happy to have guests join us and invite you to come and be a part of your city's government. Members of the council, you have before you your minutes of the February 6th meeting for consideration.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion we accept the minutes as written.
All right, we have a motion to approve the minutes as written. Do we have a second?
I second that.
We have a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of approving the minutes as presented, please indicate by raising your right hand. And that is unanimous, and I thank you for that. No unfinished business tonight. Under new business, we have ordinance number 2018-01, declaring a portion of the First National Bank building that we purchased last year surplus. This being specifically the first floor of that building, or the ground floor of the building. We have someone who wants to put a business in there, namely a restaurant. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in just a minute. But under state law, we have to declare city property that we lease for any significant period of time. We have to declare that property surplus. So I'm going to recommend to you that we do that, and this will be just the ground floor of the building, not the entire building. And then we're going to adopt and approve a lease here in just a minute for that ground floor. And this is our second reading of this, correct? So we can act on this tonight. We talked about it at our first meeting in February. So, members of the council, I recommend to you that we adopt ordinance 2018-01, declaring a portion of the First National Bank building, namely the ground floor, as surplus property for the city. We have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I make that motion.
All right. We have a motion by Ms. Griffin. Do we have a second?
I second.
Second by Mr. Sconiers. Any further discussion? All in favor of adopting the ordinance, please indicate by raising your right hand. And that is approved, and I thank you for that. Now, the second part of that piece of business is item B, to approve a lease, or to approve a resolution authorizing the lease with a company named Milky Moose. Milky Moose is the company that wants to lease the ground floor of the old bank building, also known as the Timmerman building, from the city of Andalusia. This will be a 5-year lease with 2 options to extend 5 years each, which potentially could be a 15-year lease. Hope they exercise those options, because if they do, that means they're being successful. This company has some other restaurants in the state of Alabama. I know they have one in Enterprise, they have one in Troy, and I believe one in Ozark. And this would be their fourth restaurant in South Alabama. I have visited 2 of those restaurants and find them to be very nice, and I would think would fit real well into the mix of businesses and restaurants that we have in the downtown area. Again, this is an important step for us getting our first tenant in the Old Bank / Timmerman building, and a business that complements other businesses in the downtown area, and again gives another reason for people to come and visit our downtown, and not only do business with Milky Moo's, but to do business with the other restaurants in downtown and do business with the other businesses in downtown. So it's a positive thing. So I would recommend to you that you adopt Resolution 2018-07.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we adopt Resolution 2018-07.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Wells. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Powell. Any further discussion, questions, or comments? All in favor of approving the resolution, please indicate by raising your right hand, and that is unanimous, and I thank you so much for that. Our next item is an ordinance which we will have presented to you tonight for the first time, but it involves business that we've been talking about for well over a year now, and that's the financing of the projects over at the high school. That is the auditorium and the football stadium renovation. Just to give you a quick recollection or review of my recollection, that project is about a $12.5 million project. The bond that we will be issuing is approximately $7 million plus the cost of the bond issuance cost, and that would be the responsibility of the city of Andalusia. It will be on our full faith and credit, but it will not count against our debt limit because it is a matter for education, for the school system. However, the half-cent sales tax that we passed several years ago to support the school system will be pledged as security for payment of this bonded indebtedness, and that will fix that half cent for the duration of the term of the unpaid portion of the bonds. So I recommend it to you that we approve it, but before we do that, since this is the first reading of this ordinance under state law, we would have to suspend the rules in order to take action on it, and I recommend to you that we suspend the rules, and under state law to do that, we have to have a roll call vote. So, Mr. Clerk, would you call the roll? All those in favor of suspension of the rules?
Mayor Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. Scott.
Yes.
Mr. Mount.
Yes.
Mrs. Griffin.
Yes.
Mr. Wells.
Yes.
Mr. Powell.
Yes.
Okay, the rules are now suspended, and as I say every time we do that, we're now in the midst of chaos. We don't have any rules. The purpose of suspending the rules is because under our rules, unless you're on the agenda to be heard from, you can't address the council in a regular council meeting. So by suspending the rules, we can suspend that part of the rules, and if there's anyone here who would like to make some comments about this ordinance, whether you're for it or against it, we would welcome you to come and state your case to the City Council. Okay, I don't hear any comments. Let the record show that no one has identified themselves as wanting to speak to the council. So now would be time for us to take action. We would go back under the rule, which now means we're back under our regular rule of order, and we can now take up this ordinance and vote on whether we adopt the ordinance. So, members of the council, I will need a motion and a second to adopt ordinance number 2018-02, which is a 2018 school capital project financing.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve ordinance 2018-02 concerning the school capital project financing.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Wells. Do we have a second?
I mean, Mr. Mount,
Amount.
I'm sorry.
he owes you money.
Excuse me. That should make both of you happy. Mr. Mount made the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Is that Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Second by Mr. Powell. Now, any further discussion, questions, or comments from members of the council before we vote on this? I'd just make a quick comment. This is a huge step for our city, for our school, for our students, for the future of our community. And I'm just happy that we are in financial condition to be able to do this for the school system and help them with this project. And as you know, construction's already started over there, and things are moving forward. So hopefully we'll get this bond issue taken care of in the next week or 10 days, a couple of weeks, and get these bonds issued before the interest rates start sliding up. I don't know if you can slide up. They can go up, don't slide down. We hope they don't go up before we can get this bond issue placed. All right, we have a motion and a second. No further discussion. All in favor of adopting the ordinance, please indicate by raising your right hand. And that is unanimous, and I thank you for that. Our next item of business is to consider a request from the police department concerning a CAD dispatch system. We received an ADECA grant last year for the purchase of some equipment, needed equipment for the police department, and we have had a need for a CAD system step up or improvement for our dispatch system in our police department for quite some time now. We had a very in-depth discussion upstairs about what this system will do, and the total amount of the system, this will be with Southern, let me get the right,
Southern Software
Southern
Incorporated.
Software, Inc. will be the company that will be providing the software and the equipment that goes with it. The amount is in the amount of $63,643, and that includes a period of backup on all of this equipment, the servicing of it. Plus, we need to purchase a server to go with that system, and it's in the amount of $4,757, plus or minus a few cents. As I said, we have a grant in the amount from ADECA in the amount of $24,000. If you approve this and we do this, and after legal counsel's had a chance to review it all, if you approve spending this money and awarding this contract to Southern Software, Inc., we pay for it up front, and then we get $24,000 reimbursement from ADECA after we pay for it. So just understand, we've got to put the money up front. The part that's not covered by the grant eventually will be taken out of our capital account, which is more than adequate to cover the cost of this full amount. So I recommend to you that we go ahead and award this contract to Southern Software, and that we also purchase the server at a price that we just stated approximately what it is after legal counsel has approved it.
Mr. Mayor, upon approval by our attorney, I move that we give you the authority to enter into an agreement with Southern Software Incorporated for $63,643, and to purchase, in addition to that, a server for $47,5716. The funds to be taken from the capital account, and the $24,000 reimbursement from ADECA to be placed in the capital account to replace that portion of the funds.
Okay, heard the motion by Mr. Powell. Do we have a second?
I second it.
Second, Mr. Mount. Any further discussion, questions, or comments from council? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. And that is unanimous, and thank you for that. That's going to be a real really huge upgrade for our police department. It will give a lot of data and information to our dispatchers as well as our officers out in the field to know what kind of situation they're going into when they're answering calls. And we hope that we see the county and our other folks that are involved in public safety follow suit and get this kind of equipment installed, because then we can bleed across into each other's systems, and it'll help everyone. So thank you for that. All right, is there any other business to come before the council tonight? Hearing none, we will stand adjourned.